Pagdating sa payments page, mas marami na ang options para makapagbayad online. Powered by PayMaya. Para gamitin ang iyong Visa, Mastercard o JCB Credit, Debit o Prepaid Card, i-click ang option na ito at i-type ang mga detalye ng iyong card sa susunod na screen. Ilagay ang mobile number o email address kung saan nais matanggap ang resibo ng iyong transaction. I-click ang Complete Order. Maaari mo ring isave ang mga detalye ng iyong card para mapabilis ang mga susunod na transaction. Matapos i-review ang mga detalye, i-click ang Proceed to Pay. Makukuha mo ang iyong confirmation receipt sa text o sa email. May isa pang paraan para makapagbayad ng mabilis online gamit ang PayMaya. I-download ang libreng PayMaya app at mag-register for an account. Kapag nakapag-add money na sa iyong PayMaya account, pwede mo na itong ipambayad gamit lamang ang iyong mobile number. Sa payment page, i-click ang PayMaya. I-type ang mobile number na nakaregister sa iyong PayMaya account at ang iyong PayMaya password. Makakatanggap ka ng text message na naglalaman ng iyong one-time PIN. I-enter ang OTP at i-click ang Continue. Matapos i-review ang mga detalye, i-click ang Proceed to Pay. Ganoon lang kadali. At may chance ka pang makakuha ng cashback sa iyong payment mula sa PayMaya. Mas pinadali at mas pinabilis na ang proseso sa pagrerehistro ng inyong negosyo. Basta business name registration sa DTI, don't pay cash. PayMaya!
Okay, so now we will be para for everyone for the online po natin, online registration, I will show you yung mga basic lang po for online registration. Ayan. So this is the portal po ng BNRS. Ayan, so you will go sa public po kayo na portal, so you will be going to this po. And then ang ano ninyo is register now. Ayan, so you will just have to check this po na agree, and then check all the details that is needed. Ayan, Filipino citizen, your name, for your name, if it's Ana Santos Cruz, ayan, for example. If you have any suffix, kung ano po, kailangan nyo po yan i-fill out. So, yung birthday nyo, and then your civil status, and then that one, and then just click next. And you have to proceed. Yan. So, pili po kayo kung ano po yung territorial scope nyo. So, like for example, if you go for city, may drop down po what region. So, we are under region 10. City municipality, so you just have to go to Misamis Oriental and then Cagayan de Oro. Yan. For the dominant name, gaya po ng ano po natin, if yung, i-try natin yung ano po, if yung sinabi natin bawal po yung the use of the, try natin kung ano talaga yung lalabas sa system. So, the best, ayan. So, pag ang ano ninyo is, sample, the best, if you're into food business, ayan, so food, or ano na po, if ganyan po natin, pag into food business kayo, specific na po. Ayan, so the best food store or any food, or pag meron kayong physical na po. Ito, specific na po siya. If you're into herbal food supplement, kailangan nakaspecify po yung mga ano natin. So, example, the best, try natin to, the best homemade food trading. So, if nakapili na po kayo, your proposed business name is the best homemade food trading. Ayan. So, i-check niyo po to for availability. Ayan. So, check niyo ulit. Second. Ayan. You would see po na based on checking or verification, bawal po, may mga bawal, gaya ng sinabi ko po kanina, may mga bawal because yung the best is already IPO registered. Our system is connected to IPO na system. So pag may naka-register doon na gustong gamitin ng any client who would want to register his or her business name, lalabas po yan. Another po na failed is best and yung the are already reserved word. Ayan. So, when you talk about another red po, naka-red po is yung article, the use of yung article na the is not allowed. So, pag yung geographical naman, example, Luzon. Luzon, still po, we go with homemade food trading. Check natin. Yan. So, layan lang po ng I explained kanina in my presentation, yung Luzon is a reserved word kasi Luzon is a geographical area. Ayan. It is a name of an island in the Philippines. Yan. So, if you are engaging into that, kasi trading lang, the use of trading is allowed. But for our new system, as per September 2019, hindi po pwedeng trading lang. Dapat naka-indicate po ano po yung tinitrade nyo. What type of trading or what type of product are you engaging tinitrade mo. Ayan. So, even for services, hindi na po pwedeng services lang. Dapat, if you look into, dapat nakaano po yan, kung ano pong type of services that you are engaging into. Even for store, ayan, yung gamit po ng store, specific na rin po dapat kung anong type ng store yung gusto ninyong i-register. You want to register under the business name. So, kailangan po alam ninyo, you just have to there are a lot na medyo nahihirapan because hindi lumalabas yung type of business that they want. You just have to type po a certain word and then may lalabas po na options. Like what I've said, specific na po siya. And if there are red marks like this po, for verifiers, if you're gonna have it sa office namin yung registration nyo, hindi po namin to pwedeng i-override. So what we do is we suggest a change of name or proposed business name dun po sa client that we are handling. If you're online, hindi po kayo pwedeng mag-proceed as long as naka-red po yan. If all are green, passed, ini-next lang po ninyo yan and a reference code will be provided to you. And then you just have to follow and fill up all the things po. Pag through and through, pag dumating po kayo dun sa payment, you just have to click on type of payment or mode of payment that you will be using. Yan. So I think that's it for my presentation about business name registrations. Ulit-ulit lang po, i-ano natin, it's when we go into business, we don't know naman kung gaano katatagal yung business ninyo. There are a lot of clients that we get to talk to na if we ask them, ma'am, try lang po namin to kasi it's pandemic and we have no work anymore, so we're trying out this small business, so that's why gusto din namin maging legit yung business namin. So we're registering under DTI. So, ano namin is, like what I've said, every opportunity for availing of government projects and loans starts with one basic requirement. That's business name registration. Either if you're sole proprietorship, that's DTI, and as well as under SIC for partnership and corporation. Ayan. So, for you to also entice mga investors, people to trust your business, ang unang titignan talaga is your legitimacy of your business. So there's a business name registration. There's a license to operate as a business that's through the business name permit or the mayor's permit. And then you are able to issue you have your COR, the 2303, BIR registration, your COR, and as well as you are able to issue the accredited BIR issued na mga receipts for any purchases made by your clients. So again, the business name registration is for everyone's protection. Protection for all mga MSMEs or businessmen for their protection and for their then for availment of benefits as well, and also for consumer, kasi pag consumer ka, you would want the value for money, value for every peso that you purchase, product and services that you avail from any businesses na you get to encounter. Ayan, thank you and good morning. Miss Shore.
Hi, so we'll have the Q&A portion next
Ay,
with Ms. Roseanne, so it will be facilitated by Richil.
okay, thank you po.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Roseanne. We are now entertaining questions in our business registration session. Okay, anyone from the participants who wants to go first?
Kit from Ihatid, pwede?
Okay,
Yes
you
po,
may
sir.
proceed.
Ma'am, nami kaparihang name sa kaning Ihatid, pero mura government agency yata siya. It's for murag medicine man yata ilaha. Ihatid na sila yung website na
Opo.
exactly ang name. Is that a problem?
Like what I've said po I made mention of any programs of a government na similar to your business name, it cannot be registered po. Registered na po ba kayo, Sir Kit?
Yes, ma'am. Na-register na sa ang pangalan namin.
Ihatid talaga.
Oh,
Ihatid.
yes.
What's the business name po?
Adjut lang ha, akong kuam lang.
Ay, sige po.
Okay. b.i.t.e.s Software Development Services.
Development Services. Ang similar po is the Ihatid na government program po. As in the Ihatid talaga.
Let me Google it ha. Oh, na din ihatid.ehealth.ph LGU. Ihatid LGU. eHealth tablet for informed decision making of LGU.
Ihatid. Similar with your spelling ng Ihatid ninyo na registered na business name?
Mao yun siya exactly.
Mogit exactly. There are instances po kasi our system it's not a perfect system. So there are business name na ina-allow niya ganyan. So ang consequence lang po is if that particular LGU would question why there is a similar business name na ganyan po. So we just, if may mga cases, if there are cases like that po, then we get to have it discussed with yung complaining, if magko-complain man, and with the concerned na party, which is in this kind of situation sa inyo po. If ever that there's a complaint that particular ihatid na LGU would be filing po. If wala naman po, na-allow naman siya ng system, you can go on naman po.
Okay, thank you po.
Okay, thank you, Kit. How about the others?
Hi, ma'am. Good morning. RG here.
Yes po. Good morning.
Curious lang ko, ma'am. For with the changes, ma'am. So general merchandise is no longer accepted, ma'am.
For new application, hindi na po pwede ang general merchandise. But if you are an existing business and your business name was processed with the previous system, as long as you just have to renew in time, dili po siya pwedeng ma-expire beyond the 6 months na allotted na renewal period. Pwede po siyang mag-renew lang ng mag-renew.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, next. How about the other incubatees? Okay.
Hello po.
Yes, sir.
Hi, ma'am. Rolly. To have inquiry on, for example, you're gonna have imong register as IT solutions, no? And then there are a lot of services that you're offering online. It's rebranded in a way, somewhat like there are some mga branding mga names ba on in a website, for example, in the form of e-commerce kinsa nga website, and there's also another electronic services related on kanang mga shopping one ba, pero that's under one name in a way. So okay ra ba na siya, ma'am?
What's your business name po?
Ang
IT
business name is
Solutions?
IT Solutions.
Ang ano po natin is we go back to, kasi po for amin it's IT Solutions. So under business name, any IT related na mga services. Yan yung mag-ano po natin. I don't know lang po with the new system if allowed po si IT Solutions. I just have to check po kung pwede yung IT Solutions lang po ha. Kasi before po siya with the old system. But now po, pwede pa rin po. IT Solutions, pwede pa rin po siya. Ang ano lang natin is in your business permit po, sa business permit, nakalagay doon yung categorization of your business. In the categorization of your business, naka-indicate ba doon yung engagement mo on a particular type of business? You can check po your business permit.
Okay. So pwede ra gyapon sa inyo na, ma'am. For example, mo lang ito that covers consultancy and then software applications, for example, and then here comes you provided some app of course under sa imong pangalan, no, kana siya, and then if there will be some transactions over time nga pwede siya modawat na og itong, for example, just like government nga mga quotations, example so gamit aning kining services. So in that particular name, so kumbaga okay ra na siya, ma'am, no?
For us po, for business name, as long as it is accepted by the system and it is all your services are IT related na mga services that you're rendered falling under your descriptor na IT solutions, wala pong problema. For the business, like what I've said kanina, for the business permit, meron kasi yan silang taripa of the different businesses that you are, of the different types of services that your particular business is getting into. Pag, like what you've mentioned po about naman getting ka nang mag-engage into mga field reps, ka ng mga bidding, depende po sa office that posted that bidding. If okay na po yung IT solution, are some po that is really looking for suppliers or providers na nakaspecify dun sa business name nila yung gusto nilang i-post or yung i-post nila na type of for bidding. So depende po yun sa requirement nila po. If they will allow na your business name is IT Solutions and they will okay po sa kanila to have it accepted as part of your for your bidding, requirements for your bidding, then wala naman pong problema.
Sige po. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay po, sir.
Okay, thank you, Sir Rolin. How about the other incubatees present? Chief Tech, Checkmate, Pick a Talk, Piso Hand Sanitizer. Going once?
Napa-quick question sa ihatid gihapon.
Okay. Okay, you may proceed.
Ma'am, what about sa among case, ma'am? We do two things kasi. One is to provide the software to the store, to our clients, no, like we did with SM and a few others na gusto mag-open ng online app and store nila. But we also provide integrated na delivery service, as in literal may mga riders and all that. Does it obviously that doesn't fall into the category of uh, software service or development services. So how does that, how do we reconcile that? Is that is that allowed or paano ba yan?
Mm. Okay. So for DTI kasi, ang question lang naman namin, sir, what is your business engagement? Did you register po via sa office or online po?
Nag-register sa office akong sister, akong manghod
Ay,
kay
mo
ano.
sister. And then, usually po, pag face-to-face, we ask them kasi the clients, sir, ma'am, what is your business engagement? What is really your business? So, pag sinabi niya po na ganun, that's why your business name is Ihatid. Ano po yung descriptor?
Software development services.
That's why it fell under the category of software development system. Kasi yun yung sinabi po ng applicant. Kasi we base the descriptor based on the applicants on describing the type of business that they are engaging. So yun po din yung magre-reflect sa business permit ninyo. Pag ganyan naman po na ihatid, ang inyo naman po, the second part is ihatid services po, no? Sir, sir. Pwede naman po, you can have naman, for business name, you can have more than one business name registration under one person. And yung pong ihatid, yun po yung dominant ninyo. So pag si ihatid, gusto nyo ihatid pa rin po yung gamitin, you can use the same descriptor as long as the same owner yung nakaregister. So pwede ihatid food delivery services, ganyan po. Pwedeng ganon po.
I see.
You can
Okay.
have
So,
another registration. Pero
para
pag
different.
pag another registration ng DTI, it's also corresponding to another business permit under the LGU po.
Tapos yung resibo doon different din
Different din
sa
po.
BIR.
Yes po.
Because we were parang weird na we have our receipt for our clients na stores, and then that same receipt we will provide to the customers na nag-order sa app. So it's parang nakabutang
Lahi
dito.
na, oo.
Software service unsa man ni?
Opo.
Mo man ang gihatag. So kana lang ang concern.
You can have a separate business name registration using the same dominant that is ihatid. Lahi na lang po ang iyang descriptor that will fall on the precise business engagement that you would engage into.
How about once we register to this is outside na DTI. When we register to SEC, how will that impact our SEC registration?
Ano po? Pag mag-SEC registration, we just have to close your existing business name.
Okay.
You just have meron mang cancellation of business. So meaning meron mang reason doon na you just have to parang mag-migrate na mo to SEC registration, ganyan. Wala namang problema.
Okay.
Kasi sa SEC mayroon namang yung sa articles of incorporation nila, you have mag-stipulate kayo ng different trade names that you will be using under the corporation.
Sige. Thank you.
Okay po, welcome.
Okay, thank you, Kit. We now have less than 10 minutes. So at this point, Ms. Rozan, let's proceed with 3 questions privately sent to me by the participants. Okay, so first is, if the startup has to undergo rebranding, which is just a change of name, but the same business, do the startup apply for a change of business name, or can they continue operating with the new business name with the existing business registration? Or do they start anew?
If there is a change in business name, tama ba? If there are changes in the business name, because for one, business name yung ni-register ninyo ng DTI. If you would want any changes, you would add one word ganyan to the existing business name, you should have it first canceled yung previous na business name and register the new business name. Kasi any changes in the business name, that means new application po.
Thank you, Mr. San. So that's it. If the startup wants to cancel the business name. How about Mr. San? How about DTI? Can they cancel the BN registration? If so, in what conditions or grounds?
There we have another ano naman po kasi there are reasons for cancellation. We have a form for that. Ano din, you just have to fill up. Meron namang mga different reasons for cancellation. One, either death of the owner, and then transfer of ownership. Yan, cancellation po yan. Transfer of ownership. You also have to, pwede kasing like what I've said kanina, if there are change in territorial scope, upgrade lang naman. And updating of mga information, pwede naman po, you can just have updating of information. For cancellation, ang ano lang po for cancellation is you have a form there to fill up and kailangan lang po siyang ipanotarize. Yan. And then after notarized na po, the notarized form will be submitted together with the other requirements such as government issued IDs na original, and then just have to pay. Cancellation is 30 pesos. That's the documentary stamp lang po. And then we'll process your cancellation.
Okay, incubatees, I hope that's clear. Okay, I have here the last question, pero baka may pahabol pa. Okay, anyone from the participants? Going once? Twice? Okay. So, Mr. San, here's the last question for
Ma'am, naka-mute ka po, Ma'am Rochelle.
I see. Sorry for that. Okay. Here it goes. How does DTI identify startups from MSMEs or other business entities, especially now that there is a law defining what exactly is a startup? Or in the eyes of DTI, is startup generally a business with no distinction from the other types of business entities?
Okay. So we have MSMEs. MSMEs, so small, medium enterprises. Mayroon mga categorization dyan kung asset size and then your number of employees, ganyan. Pero for the business name registration, anyone engaging into business, online lang man na presence, or meron kayong physical store, or you have both the physical store and the online presence, as long as you engage into business which is income generating na po, we encourage you to register your business name. Kasi we have an experience wherein mga sari-sari store, di ba? Maliliit lang yon, sari-sari store. So for them, gamay lang naman akong business, so okay lang naman siguro dili mag-register. So the LGU, they do tax mapping. So they visit an area, they go around, and then they check kung kinsay mga engage into business. And ilang gina-check if there is a corresponding business name registration and business permit. Pag wala, they inform those mga ano na po, business engage, katong mga owners of those small businesses to register sa DTI. So yun lang naman po. Ang sa amo is we cannot go around identifying all businesses, and then we'll just want to encourage kasi for one, it helps you no matter how small your business, kasi we start small naman, that's the basic. We start as a small business, and then since we are starting a small business, we also want to start it right. So we want to also be legit kasi we want to also see that when we get into this business, it is legit and it has the different permits that is needed by a legit na business for me to be able to avail of other services under the government. And also, hindi ka mahihirapang magbenta ng produkto mo if you are confident enough that you are engaging into business that is legit.
Okay, thank you, Mr. San. Unfortunately, we are out of time. So that's it for our question and answer for the business registration session. Miss Shore?
Alright, thank you so much, Miss Roseanne, for joining us this morning. So that wraps up your part of this session. So before we say goodbye to Miss Roseanne, can I Please ask everyone to turn on their cameras for the group photo, virtual group photo for documentation. Any last words din po, Miss Rose Ann, before you leave?
Okay, like what I've said kanina po, thank you for this opportunity for CDO Bytes. And thank you also for also you're an extended arm of DTI in helping MSMEs. Kasi at this point of 6 months or more than 6 months na under this health emergency, a lot of people has been really affected. And the greater percentage of businesses in existing in the country are small enterprises, small businesses, and then they are the ones generating the greater percentage of income generation and providing employment for others also. So thank you CDO Bytes for helping this ano po, this incubatees, this MSMEs po, small startup na mga MSMEs. And we together naman ang dream natin and our ano for all the clients that we have coming into the office, it is they would grow in their business. They would increase in their income generation. They would also make innovations of their products, which in the long term po, be globally competitive and they will grow into a bigger company na po. Ayan. So, yun yung pangarap namin sa bawat businesses that we get to have na pumupunta sa office.
Yes, same. So I hope our startup ecosystem thrives then, no? So is everyone okay? So let's take a photo na. So on 3, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. All right, that's it for Miss Rose Ann's talk. Thank you so much, ma'am, for
Thank
joining us
you.
this
Thank you very
morning.
much.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you everyone. Bye-bye po.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
All right, guys. So we're waiting for Attorney Inopia to join us. He will be joining us. He confirmed by email just a while ago. So I think they're still setting up. So while we're waiting for Attorney Inopia of CDO Extension Office, let's take this opportunity to take a break muna. All right, and then we'll just call you. Do not log off the Zoom. Maririnig din naman kami kapag we'll resume the session. Alright, break time.
In case start natin yung gawin naman.
All right, everyone. Good morning. Break time's over. Attorney Nopia has now joined us. So I hope everyone is back from the short break. All right. So the last part of our session will be facilitated by Attorney Frederick Inopia, who is the Securities Counsel of Securities and Exchange Commission, otherwise known as SEC, of Cagayan de Oro Extension Office. So SEC CDO EO. He completed his law degree from Xavier University at Ateneo de Cagayan, and he has been in private practice from 2009 from 2016. From then on, he joined SEC. So we're sure that Attorney Inopia's topics has heightened your interest, since he will help you understand corporations and even discuss the basics of registering the corporation or your corporation through the SEC's online platform. So without further ado, I'll give the virtual platform now to Attorney Inopia. Good morning, sir. Sir, naka-mute ka? Oh.
This one, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for having me. And I hope you're not tired yet, since I am the last speaker. Well, I would like to share my screen. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, thank you. So my topic for this morning would be about the corporation and how you can register your corporations with us. So how do you start your corporation? So I am introduced already a while ago, so let's skip that one. So now, what is a corporation? So a corporation is an artificial being, meaning it has a legal personality separate and distinct from its owners. Who are the owners of the corporation? These are the stockholders. So here, you can read the slides. So the corporation has a right of succession as the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence. So among others, there is an enumeration there to sue and be sued. So a corporation is really like a natural person, only that it is an creation of law. So a corporation can also adopt in the bylaws their own rules and regulation, provided that it is not contrary to law, morals, or public policy. So since the corporation has a separate personality from the owners, its ownership is represented by stocks or shareholdings, shares of stocks. That's why the corporation will issue or sell these stocks to represent the proportionate ownership in the corporation. So if you are holding a share of stock, you are an owner of a proportion or an inchoate portion of the corporation. So meaning you do not own an exact or identified thing, rather than an inchoate interest in the corporation. So in case of non-stock corporations, the persons that are forming the corporation or are considered as the more or less the owner of the corporation are called members. Unlike in the stock corporation, they are called stockholders. So the corporation also can acquire or dispose real or personal property. They enter into partnership, joint venture, merger, consolidation. So these are also the attributes of a corporation in when they conduct business. And also they can make reasonable donations or can also receive donations. And also the corporation may establish a pension, retirement, and other benefits for its officers and employees. So what are the different classes and types of corporations? So generally, there are two types of corporations or classes. These are the stock and non-stock corporation. So first, we talk about the stock corporation. So a stock corporation are the income generating entities composed of stockholders or shareholders. So if you will open a stock corporation, you must be one of a profit oriented corporation. So I believe all of you here, since you are incubate, so you are gauged towards opening a business. So most, if not all, are will fall under stock corporation if you choose to establish a corporation for your business that you are thinking right now. So the corporation have capital, or the stock corporations have capital stocks. So in a non-stock corporation, this is the second class of a corporation wherein this corporation is generally for non-profit corporations. However, there are non-stock corporations where they may have incidental profits in their operations as a non-stock corporation, but these corporations cannot distribute their profits to their members. Unlike in a stock corporation, the stock corporation can distribute their profits to their stockholders through declaration of dividends. While in non-stock, the incidental profits of this corporation will be used only for the operations of the non-stock corporation. So it cannot be distributed to its members, so the profits cannot be distributed to its members. So you should be very careful when choosing what kind of corporation that you will register, because there are incidents here when people tend to incorporate, especially schools, they tend to incorporate as a non-stock corporation because in order to avoid the capital requirement for private schools. But in the end, they have a problem because they were thinking that they can get dividends. But in reality, if you register as a non-stock corporation, the corporation cannot declare dividends or distribute its profits. So be careful when you register. You should know what you want for your corporation, whether is it profit or non-profit, and you want to distribute your income or profit to your owners. So you should know what to choose, whether a stock or a non-stock corporation. So what are other types of corporations? So we have the closed corporation, foreign corporation, and special corporations. Though these are categorized as this one, these kinds of corporation would also fall under either stock or non-stock corporation. Like for example, the closed corporation. These closed corporations are corporations with no more than 20 stockholders. However, even if the stockholders are less than 20, it is not automatic that you become a closed corporation. You need to register during the time of your registration that you intend to be a closed corporation, because there are implications regarding that one. There are special rules that would apply. So for foreign corporations, these are corporations that are formed, organized, and registered in a foreign country or another country, but they have gained a license to conduct business in our country by registering with the SEC. Next are special corporations. So these are considered special corporations because under our corporation code, the revised corporation code, there are special chapters which would deal particularly on these kinds of corporations. So this would be the educational, religious, and one-person corporation, among others. So if you fall under this one, there are special rules under the corporation code for that one. That's why they are called special corporations, because there are specific rules that apply only to them but do not apply to the other ordinary corporations. So how long can a corporation exist? Now, during the old corporation code, before it was revised, the maximum life of a corporation is only 50 years. However, when it was revised and was effective on February 23, 2019, the corporate term was amended to perpetual, meaning a corporation now, when you apply, the life of the corporation can have a perpetual existence or a forever existence that without expiration. But the applicant can also determine for themselves if they want it in a fixed period. During the incorporation or during the application, they can indicate if they want a specific period of time for their corporation to last. So this one, as I already stated, so a corporation may specify its corporate term in its articles of incorporation, and that term may be extended or shortened by amending the articles of incorporation. So, however, even if you choose to have a perpetual existence of your corporation, it may also be suspended, revoked, or subject to delinquency if you do not comply with the reportorial requirements imposed by the SEC or the Securities and Exchange Commission. So these reportorial requirements are the general information sheet and the financial statement. So we'll go next. So how much capital is required to form a corporation? So generally, there is no minimum capital requirement. However, there are specific industries or businesses where the code or other special laws require a minimum capital requirement. So in which case, we need to follow the minimum capital requirement if there's special law or the revised corporation code requires it. So that would be what is an authorized capital stock? That is what we are talking about. So this authorized capital stock is the total amount of shares of stock of a corporation, which is the corporation is allowed to issue as the shares. So this may have a par value or no par value. So if there's a par value, it is much easier to issue these stocks and sell because the price is fixed, is clear. However, if it is a no par value, then there must be a basis for its valuation, which would be determined by several experts or those who have knowledge on the valuation. So what are shares? So we have mentioned a while ago that shares are what the stockholders hold to prove their ownership, incubate ownership over a corporation. So these are units of ownership of a corporation, and shares entitle the holders to equivalent proportion of the corporation's assets and profits. Shares are also known as the stock, so that's why we call it shares of stocks. And ones who hold these shares are called shareholders or stockholders. What are the kinds of shares? So we have the common shares, preferred shares, founder shares. We also have redeemable shares and treasury shares. So first is common shares. These common shares is the most important of all because for a stock corporation to be able to issue other types of shares, the corporation must have a common share because common shares are the ones who has the complete rights and responsibilities. So those holders of the common shares always have the voting shares, and they can be with par value or no par value also. However, more importantly is that the common shares, they are the most the shareholders who is most burdened in a corporation because they are the ones who have voting rights. They decide, but in the profits, if there are other kinds of shares like preferred shares, founder shares, those other kinds of shareholders will be paid first of their interest before the common shares. So it is the holder of the common shares who always uh, get the burden of, especially if there are losses in the profits. So if there are less profits, then all other kinds of shareholders will be paid first. So that is why common shares is very important. Preferred shares. The preferred shares are shares which may be issued only with a stated par value, and they may be given preference in the distribution of dividends and of corporate assets in case of liquidation or such other preference. So from the name itself, preferred shares, it is clear that these kinds of shares or the holders of these kinds of shares will always be have priority or be always first in line in terms of payment of whether interest or dividends, or in case of liquidation, the assets that are distributed. So, however, mostly preferred shares do not have voting rights, so they cannot participate in the running of the corporation. That is also why they are being preferred in the payments of income, dividends, because that is for their assurance if that even though they do not have voting rights, in case that in case of business reverses, then they will be paid first. Next is the founder shares. So founder shares may be given certain rights and privileges not enjoyed by the owner of stockholders. These founder shares are issued during the incorporation because these are shares that are enjoyed by the first stockholders. So usually those that are rights that are given to founders have only a maximum term or life of 5 years. After that, these founder shares will be converted to common shares already because the privileges and rights that were given to them would expire already after maximum of 5 years. But the incorporators can also determine the time. They can have it less than 5 years. Redeemable shares. These are shares which may be issued by the corporation when expressly provided in the Articles of Incorporation. So for the corporation to issue this kind of shares, it must be clearly written in the Articles of Incorporation because these are shares that the corporation may issue but would also buy it back later. Usually this is for increasing of their capital. Then next is the treasury shares. Treasury shares are those that have already been issued and then bought back by the corporation or were donated back to the corporation. So they are classified as treasury shares because they have been out already and returned back to the corporation as compared to those shares which haven't been issued from the start. Okay. So applying for the company registration system. So we can now go to, so that stops or ends our overview over the corporation. So we now go to the registration of your corporation. So when you register through the CRS or the company registration system, you need to go to the address crs.sec.gov.ph. So our general outline for the application is first, you need to create your account. Then once you have already created your account, you will verify the name of the corporation. So this is also a very important part of the application because it is this part of the application where you will know whether the name that you have thought would be approved or not. So once your proposed name is approved, then you can go to the next step, which is filling out the form. And then next is last is submission of the hard copy of the document. So we'll go specifically on these parts of the steps of the application. So here, when you create the account, you will only fill up this form, which requires only basic information. So your first name, middle name, last name, nationality, email address. This one, anybody can create an account. So even if for example, the person is just a secretary of the corporation or just a secretary of the accounting firm or law firm that you have engaged, if you will not apply yourself, they can create their account using any person, even if that person is not connected with the corporation. So next is verify the company name. So you will see this on your screen when you reach verify company name. So this is just a drop down here. So you will click company type, then the types of company will come out. So you will just have to choose whether you will be registering a stock, non-stock corporation, or a partnership, among others. Then company classification, it will also just be a drop down. And then in the type of industry, it's still you just click, then there will be a drop down on list of major industry classification. So you will just choose the type of industry that you will be applying for. So if there is no specific industry in the list that would be the same as the one that you intend to apply, then you just choose the nearest kind of industry classification as you can see in the list. So also in the subclass, you just choose also. It will just be a drop down of the list. So here, the proposed company name, then you will just type your proposed company name and select the suffix. For the suffix, it is fixed whether corp, corporation, INC, or incorporated. So here, if you have trade names, you will also add this type in this portion already. So you'll type your proposed trade name, and then you'll just click add. So when you click the add, the system will then process whether your name is approved or disapproved. Now, if it is disapproved, then there is a portion here for appeal. So you can click for appeal, and then what you will do is you will type like on just a one-page application, or where you will write the reasons why your name should be approved in the appeal. So here, this is also part of the application where you will apply or state whether the corporation that you will be applying would fall in an economic zone or not. Then next is the principal address of your corporation. This is also very important because this will determine which jurisdiction who will have the taxing authority or taxing power, which BIR will tax your business. So once you finish your application, there will be already a form which will you can generate from the system, which would look like this. So you do not have to create your own or make your own articles of incorporation and bylaws, because you can generate them already after you fill up all the blanks in the application form of the CRS. So that would include your articles of incorporation, the treasurer's affidavit, and the bylaws of your corporation. So once you have generated those articles, bylaws, and treasurer's affidavit, also the cover sheet, you will then be required to have it signed, notarized, and after which you need to upload it here in the, excuse me, in the portion given in the application. So you just attach the scanned copy of your articles of incorporation, the bylaws, the treasurer's affidavit, and if it is under PESA or CESA, you need to attach also. You need, because if your corporation fall in under PESA or CESA, you need to get an endorsement from the authority. So after that, after you upload, you will have a 100% accomplishment. So which means you have already finished your application in the online registration. So from here, you already need to bring the hard copy of your application in 3 sets, which must all be originally signed and notarized to our office or to the nearest Securities and Exchange Commission in your area. So here, there will be instructions, and you will be already given a payment assessment form or PAF, which you can also print out. So you will know how much to pay. However, when you submit your hard copy with us, we will still review it again, the hard copy that you submitted, because there might still be minor corrections that we will see. Then we will ask you to correct the same. So the checklist of documents needed for submission are cover sheet, the articles of incorporation and bylaws, treasurer's affidavit, screenshot of your CRS application. This is the portion where it's like the dashboard of your application when you have the account, because that page will indicate, will give us the information when you have started the application and when you reach the 100%. So because we need to verify that you have already reached 100% before we will process your application or your hard copies here in our office. So if your company name is not in English or is composed of a different or unique way, then you need to make a one-page explanation, or whether it is an explanation or you will just state the meaning of that word, like for example, a foreign word, then you just need to state the meaning of which, because there is a rule that, or law, where no company name or corporate name will be allowed if it is obscene or it is a word that is against the law or is categorized as not to be used by the corporation, or that name is may not be good to hear or does not have a good meaning at all. So the corporation or the law does not allow that one. So for your documents, you need to use an A4 size bond paper when you print it. So do not use the small or long bond paper. So submit in 3 sets and make sure to have it notarized. The 3 sets must be all originally signed and notarized. So thank you so much for listening. Then we will now be open for your questions. So Ms. Shore, hello.
Yes, all right. Thank you, Attorney Inopia. So now let's move on to the Q&A portion, which will be facilitated by my teammate, Rochelle.
Okay. Hi, Attorney. Let's
Hello,
have,
good morning.
okay, everyone. Let's have our last question and answer portion. We have exactly 30 minutes to do so. Okay, I'll start with mine, Attorney. This is a
Yes, okay.
personal question. Okay, tax-wise, what is the most cost-efficient corporate setup? What would you suggest?
Okay. Before that, I would like to add something in the corporation that was not discussed, because this is part of my answer. So during the old corporation code, we only have the regular corporation, which there is a minimum of 5 incorporators. However, now with the revised corporation code, the revised corporation code now allows a corporation which may be formed by at least 2 incorporators. So it can be 2, 3, or 4 incorporators. And also, we now have a new innovation in our revised corporation code, which is the one-person corporation. So for me, I think there is really no one corporation that you may say that is cost efficient when you apply. However, maybe during the operations, the one-person corporation is the most cost efficient because the one-person corporation is just like an upgrade of the single proprietor, wherein the one-person corporation is the only stockholder, is automatically the only director, and is automatically the president. So he does not need a board. So since there is no board, there will be a less expenses because usually the board among themselves, they have per gems, and they are also allowed to make a board resolution to determine their salary if they want, as long as it does not exceed 10% of the gross income of the corporation. So if you have a one-person corporation, then I think it would be the most cost efficient. And also, the one-person corporation is, if he's good in management, he's very lucky because he has all the attributes of the corporation, meaning he can do or decide everything he does with the shield of the corporate personality or identity, meaning whatever he does, unlike in a single proprietorship, wherein in case of business reverses, the personal properties of the owner will be included in the payment of debts, whereas in a one-person corporation, since the one-person corporation has a separate and distinct legal personality, only the property of the one-person corporation will be sought after or run after by the creditors in case of business reverses. So this is one of the big advantages of this one-person corporation. I hope that answers your questions. Rachel.
Yes, sir. Okay. So basically, you're saying, attorney, that it is possible to apply for a one-person corporation.
Yes, but you do not apply that through the CRS. Maybe I will ask our PIO to just send you the link of that. We call that IRS, the interim registration system, so that if your the participants would like to choose to apply for a one-person corporation or the 234, they can use that link.
Okay.
Because it is not found in the CRS.
Okay. Thank you, attorney. We have another question sent to me privately. Okay. So this particular incubatee, nag-register daw sila as closed corporation, but they would like to change to a stock corporation, attorney. They are asking if what is the process for this one, and if possible po ba daw?
Yes, I think you just have to apply for amendments, and you can come to the office for the requirements. So why do you intend to change to an ordinary stock corporation unit? Maybe they want to expand their corporation. Because in a closed corporation, it is very strict that you cannot have more than 20, and then before you sell the shares, there are rules. But how do they? When did they apply for the? If you can, maybe we will talk to them when they come here to the office, so that we can give way to other questions.
Attorney. uh, Next, we have a question from Hope of Pisuhan Sanitizer.
I did not hear any question.
Okay, so
I think Hope is having some technical difficulties.
okay, so let's proceed with. I think Ma'am Shore has a question.
All right. So attorney, you mentioned earlier, talked about the one-man corporation. So since the
It's one
startup,
person corporation. Yes.
oh yeah, one person. Sorry, one-person corporation. Since startups deal with investments and they have more than one founders, and of course profit earning sila, do you recommend one-person corporation for them? Kasi yung iba, they prefer it because sa tingin nila madali. But in your opinion, is it do you recommend it, or is it better that they have at least two incorporators in when they apply for the register as a corporation?
Okay, thank you for your question. I do not recommend the one-person corporation if there are more than one stakeholders, even if they may talk to themselves and agree among themselves that they will just use one partner that they trust, because when you talk of money and business, eventually there will be misunderstanding, or people tend to take different sides eventually regarding a business decision. So if there are more two stakeholders, or at least two stakeholders, I would recommend that they register as an ordinary corporation, the 5 incorporators, or the 2, 3, 4 incorporators corporation, since in a one-person corporation, there's only one stockholder. Then if the stocks cannot be divided or sold to another person because it will destroy its personality. So in this case, they should register as at least two incorporator two persons as incorporator in a corporation, because in which case you can sell or have many stockholders. So like for example, they will register at least with two incorporators, but they can have as many stockholders as they want when they register. So I think that is better, because I would recommend that each stakeholder should have its clear hold in the corporation for future purposes, because I know eventually in business, you will not always agree on an undertaking or a business strategy. So at least you are clear with where you stand. So I think that would be all for your question.
Okay,
Sorry, all right. Thank you for that, attorney. Sorry, Rachel. I'm gonna cut in. I have another questions. So we're asking Hope actually to give his question here in the chat room, but I'm waiting for it. So my question, attorney, is this is regarding an instance that one of our earlier startups experienced. So is there a cap or yung quota ba sa investment? Because as far as I remember, they were not registered as a closed corporation, so so they were not restricted, but because of the huge amount of investment, the investors could not invest in them kasi parang may cap ata dun sa corporation nila.
Maybe they are already registered.
Yes, they are. Pero yung
Okay.
they're being hindered by the amount of investment that they can receive.
Okay.
Can you
That is because of their registered authorized capital stock. So since their authorized capital stock is only this much or small, and then they are only allowed a small amount of retained earnings also. If there are big investments, they cannot automatically have that in their company because the stocks that they are able to issue is limited to the authorized capital stock in their registration. So what they need to do if there's a big investor, then they would just have to apply for increase in capital so that they can issue a new stocks for their investors. So they need to apply here in the office for increase in the authorized capital stock. So that is what they should do so that they can welcome those investors.
All right, thank you, Attorney Nopia. All right, Rachel, back to you.
Thank you, Ma'am Shore. That was a very useful question. Okay, so I think Hope is having a difficulty with his connection. He sent me his question. Attorney, can single corp let other co-founders or can they apply single corp and then while building a team, then mag-establish lang sila of contract as internal agreement. Then once the team is complete, they will transition to corporation or much better ba na mag-single proprietorship na lang?
Okay. I think the option of being the one-person corporation and single proprietorship is not the answer to their situation because they are a team. So I think I have already made my point earlier. There is a similar question. My advice always is that if you invest, you part with your money. Make sure always that you have something to hold on and you have a standing in that business undertaking. So because as I've said, I would like to repeat myself, as you go along, especially if your corporation would go bigger, you will have misunderstandings or different choices as to the what kind of business strategy that you will use. Then eventually, if like for example, you are a one-person corporation registered, but you have a team, or single proprietor, but you have a team, what if the single proprietor would not listen to the team anymore because he will just say, no, I own this one, this is my name. So what can you do then? So I do not suggest either of the two. So to your team, if they're listening, make sure always that you have something to hold and to stand on, especially if you part with your money in a business undertaking. Okay, I think that would be all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, we'll have a question from our guest, Mr. Rulin Dagiel.
Hi, attorney. Good morning po. Rolling from
Good morning.
Attorney, una akong pangutan na wala may ko address butuan, di ba? Di ba, attorney?
Yes. Hello?
Wala ko address sa butuan, attorney, no? So, diyan
SEC,
kaya
yes.
apply.
Yes.
Ikaduhan ako pangutan na, attorney. Kuan ba? With regard sa kito ganing kanang founder share.
Okay.
So, namang yung mga cases dire sa mga sa unang startup. So, we're also operating PBI here in Butuan. So, na ka ng cases sa kanang founder share ba? Also, ang kanang, usually, of course, as you mentioned, wala mong na-mention good as to ang stake sa company with regards to kanang sharing of stocks ba? So, nabay preferred nga kanang percentage?
Sa kanang like for example sa founder shares?
Yes, sir.
Wala may gisulti na pila ang limit as long as before you issue that kind of shares there must be a common share of a corporation. Then that founder shares dili man siya yung parang perpetual ang katong rights and privileges nila. There is a limited period. So once na ma-expire na to, those founder shares are converted into common shares. they will be treated as common shares already.
So walay treatment karon as to ng percentage with regards sa kitong nagkuan gid capital build up ba sa common shares. So
What do you mean na treatment?
bali I mean, for example, ang five they're also putting up manang of course money as a share.
Yes.
And then halimbawa naiduha ditong they are really the founding they are working out for the dirty works for this startup. So
Okay.
murag options ba nga to give a founder shares of these two guys who's doing the dirty job for this company. So will it be okay in that
That would be okay if during the time that they were still starting during the first 5-year period. However, after that, they cannot anymore have those privileges because under the law, those rights and privileges would last only for 5 years. However, I suggest to them they should be compensated also, as if they really are working, then they create a position where they will be compensated at least monthly as their salary.
yes, of course.
On top of their shares, because after the period provided by law, all shareholders will be in equal footing. Then if you say that that this is the problem when the corporations and the stockholders, even if they put in big amount of money, it does not reflect to their shareholdings. Like for example, margisabot-sabot ra ba nga ingon adi ra tong ibutang sa sharing, pero in reality dako kay ang gibutang sa corporation. So it should not be like that. It should, what is reflected in the shareholding should be the real amount in terms of money that you have invested also. Because later on, ingon na magmahay-mahay na or masok ko sa uban nga dawat limpyo ang istorya, pero in reality sa corporation dawat limpyo maging ang stockholders, then they have their rights to their dividends. Magina siya ang operation, because if you will not be elected to the board and you will not become officer, like for example, even if you do not participate but you are a 50% stockholder but you are lazy, you elect other people to sit in the board and become officers. So if that corporation will have a great income, even if they are the ones working, you will the stockholder who owns 50% but does not participate in the business is the one who will have the big profit, because during the declaration of dividends and distribution, he will get 50% of which, because he is the holder of 50% of the stock. So that is the concept of the corporation. So they should understand that one. That's why I suggested earlier that if they also, aside from being a stockholder, they work for the corporation to make it prosper, then they should create a position where they will be compensated for their work and not as part of as the owner. I think that would be my answer to that question.
Yeah. Sige, attorney. Thank you, attorney.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Sir Lynn. Sir Attorney, in relation to that, can you please share to us why startups should be encouraged to become a corporation? So, aside from just being registered as a business under DTI, so parang attorney, basically, unsa ba ang pros and cons of being a corporation?
Okay. The question shouldn't be aside from being registered with the DTI, because if you are already registered with the DTI as a single proprietorship, you cannot anymore register as a corporation, because that would conflict already, because you have already a business name that is approved by the DTI. So your name will not be approved here and you cannot register. So why will you choose corporation? So it's first, we always stress this out, that it has a separate juridical personality from its stockholder. So in the risk of business reverses, then your personal properties or things will not be sought after by the creditors. Second, the corporation is operated formally because we have the board and the officers as compared to the one person corporation or the single proprietorship where you do not operate formally because it is the owner who will just decide everything. So as we say, sometimes or at least most of the time, two heads is better than one. Then in a corporation, usually the banks is more inclined to grant bigger business loans for corporations, especially if you have a big authorized capital stocks. So I think for the disadvantages is would still be the same with the advantage can also be construed as disadvantage, especially that it operates through the board and officers. Because in case there is a big disagreement in the board and they will not be able to come up with a proper decision or business decision on a matter, then it will affect the business of the corporation. Whereas in a single proprietor, there will be no such thing because it is the uh, owner of the single proprietor business who will decide on everything. I think more or less there would be more advantages than disadvantages if you create a corporation for yourselves. And also in a corporation, since you have shareholders or you issue shares, you can have more opportunity to increase your capitalization by issuing shares of stocks. Because during the incorporation, you may put up a big authorized capital but not subscribe all of it. Then while you are registered already, the unissued portion, you can sell it to your investors later on. But of course, there are rules for that. So I think more or less that would be all.
Okay, thank you, attorney. We have one more question. Uh, what are the documentary requirements for renewal? Dili ba
Okay.
demanding?
We have no renewal in the SEC for corporations. Since upon application, you already state in your application your corporate term. So if you state there perpetual, then you will not renew. If you state it to be 50 years or less, then you do not renew but rather amend to extend your corporate term. What we require yearly is only the reports, which is the financial statements and the general information sheet. So for the general information sheet, there is a form already that you can download from our website. And for the financial statements, you can go to your accountants for that.
Okay, that is noted, attorney. Guys, we still have a few more minutes. Any others who have a question or clarification about corporation and company registration?
Rachel, in connection sa kuan attorney ba kitong with regards sa kitong mga documentary requirements ba for applications.
Okay.
So there are some namay nayuban nga kanang mga of course startup or even sa mga company nga they opted to hire third party nga
Yes,
mga
okay.
kuan ba mga law firm.
Okay.
So nganong namay nga na mga options attorney. So is it really hard to apply for ano kanang for SEC registration?
For me, I do not say that it is hard. In my own evaluation and opinion, I can see that it is easy to apply with us, with the SEC. Maybe those startups that hire third parties, maybe they have the funding for that, and they do not want to go into a little hassle in the application because when you apply, you need to fill up forms. Maybe they do not want to fill up forms and they just want to sign automatically whatever is the finished product, then maybe that's why they choose that one. But for me, it is very easy to apply because when you, for example, you go to CRS, as what I have discussed earlier, you just fill it up, then it is the system that would already generate the articles of incorporation, bylaws, and the treasurer's affidavit and cover sheet. So actually, you do not have to prepare that because you just print it out automatically in 3 sets, or maybe 4 or 5 because the lawyer who will notarize will also get his copy for his file. So I think it is not difficult at all.
Okay. Sige. Thank you, attorney. Magpayan, mga good
And
men.
our requirements is also very basic. Your personal informations, the sharings, you just can fill it up, and then the requirement is that you should each stockholder, first stockholder or incorporator must have a TIN, tax identification number. If you have that, then it is very easy, especially if you are all Filipino in your corporation.
Okay. So sa ang kuha mo na mo attorney kana bang ang unsa ni kay actually we're having a spin-off. So we're having a spin-off company, and then of course we are from the university, and then eventually with this kind of ano ba kanang mga muraguan nga mga usay man gud nalagi magduha-duha as to kana bang just an incorporator in a company, and then of course we're also working in a kanang government institution. So unsa may kuan mo na attorney?
I do not see any problem being an incorporator and stockholder in a corporation and also a government employee. But before you engage to become an incorporator or a stockholder in a corporation, please ask your agency if you have any requirements internally before you can invest outside. Because I have heard like in another government agency that before they can invest outside, they need to get a clearance from their regional director or something like that. Maybe that is for monitoring, because I think you need to declare that also in your SALN.
Yeah.
Maybe for that reason only. But I do not see any law prohibiting a government employee from engaging in business or especially in a corporation.
Basta lang dili ka mo mangamot dito sa corporation attorney, no?
What is that?
So wala ka, as long as nga dili ka mangamot dito as kanang nanay ka dito sa kanang murag doing the operations ba. So as incorporator lang, so pwede ra.
Pwede ra. Oh, yeah. Pwede gani siguro bisag member sa board kay dili man mag-meet ang board kada adlaw. Usually once a month ra or di ba? Policy making ra man. As long as I think the concern of government agencies is you do not take the time of the government to work in your private corporation. I think that is the concern because our government is also jealous if you will use the government time on other things.
Of course, bisag kita naman siguro. Okay, sige. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, attorney, before we officially close our Q&A session, I think na ay quick na pahabol. If clarification lang, attorney, quick clarification. If system generated, how do we accommodate other internal arrangements between founders? I-attach lang po ba daw ang additional sheet?
What do you mean internal arrangements? Like for example, what kind of internal arrangements? Because if you have internal arrangements, you do not need to submit it with us. So you don't need to submit it with us.
Okay, attorney.
Most likely, if you have internal agreements, I suggest that you make that into writing, like approved by the board, something like that, to make it legal. Or later on, you can enforce it, because if you do not make a contract, or you do not put it into writing, the other party might deny. You cannot prove it in court. You cannot establish your claim. So it is best if you have any internal agreement, you can put it into writing. And then if it is prior to the incorporation, once you are incorporated already, make a board resolution affirming it and approving it, so that you can later on use it to have your claim with the corporation. As long the guiding force is that as long as your agreement is not against the law, rules, or regulations. So that is always our guiding light.
Okay, thank you, attorney. Unfortunately, due to time constraint, that's it for our Q&A session. Thank you so much, attorney, for the clear and concise answers. It will surely help our incubatees and guests in terms of moving forward with their SEC registration. Okay, back to
Okay,
you.
you're welcome, and thank you for having us also.
Thank you, attorney.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. So before we head on, especially to Attorney Inopia for taking time off his Saturday, an hour to talk about corporations and how to register. So before we head on to the closing remarks, can I please ask everyone to turn on their cameras for the group photo with Attorney Inopia? Oh, hang on. It's tired. Sir, can we ask to close the share screen so we can see the gallery view of. All right. All right. Okay. So the closing remarks will be done after the picture taking by our project leader, Miss Rhea Hagisan. All right. Okay. So while we're waiting for the rest to turn on their cameras, attorney, any last words before we head on to the closing remarks?
Okay, thank you for having us. I hope that our discussion have given you at least knowledge, and that would help you decide which kind of corporation or entity you want to have with your businesses. So again, I thank you for having us with you here. At least we were able to share with your incubatees what a corporation is and how to register, because they might think that it is very hard, or it is taxing to register a corporation and maintain one. So as I tell you, it is very easy, especially with this pandemic, that we are forced to learn how to use the computer and the internet. So it is very easy to apply, because our application is also through online, and only a few part of the application which is face-to-face, which is the submission already of your hard copies. Don't think that incorporating is hard, so it's not hard. So hope you will be able to decide how or what fits your businesses right now, whether to have it a corporation or single proprietor. But if, like for example, you are really the only owner of your business, I suggest the one-person corporation. It's really very advantageous to the owner. Then I think if you register as a one-person corporation, you can still be helped by the DTI in the how to boost your businesses, even if you registered as an OPC, because I was able to attend a meeting in our national SEC through Zoom also. There were ASEC of the DTI and head of divisions there at in office in Manila. They stated that they will still help those, like for example, they are recommending that the single proprietor who are already very big to convert to OPC, and they still help them even though they are already registered as a one-person corporation. So I think that will be all. I will not take much of your time already. Thank you.
All right, thank you, attorney. Okay, let's do the group virtual photo. Just in case you're wondering, guys, you can find the SEC CDO Extension Office at Tomasaco 14, din sa Cagayan de Oro. So, sa'yo na kayo siya, mag-rela mo, mag-taxi mo, mag-ingora mo, SEC, they know where it is. All right, so on the count on 3, please smile and take the photo. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you. And now I'll be giving the virtual floor to Ms. Rhea, who is our project leader of CDO b.i.t.e.s for the closing remarks.
Yeah, so thank you so much for a very fruitful Saturday morning. I would like to give props to my CDO b.i.t.e.s team for inviting our esteemed 3 speakers today. So I do hope that our incubatees, and also special mention to Caroline from Caraga State University. Thank you for being with us. And more than ever, I hope you were able to get insights from initiatives from DOST, from DTI and SEC. And more than anything, we really encourage our startups, our incubatees to be duly registered so you can better maximize the incentives and the benefits and the rewards that the government has and in the future can give and provide you. So daghang salamat sa pag-attend this Saturday and more fruitful Firestarter sessions in the next few weeks. Thank you and good noon.
Good night. All right, so that's it, guys. Thank you, Attorney Nopia. Thank you, Sir Roldin, for joining us. So
Thank
you
you
may
so
now
much.
leave the session. Yes, the Zoom session. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the
Bye.
rest of
Thank
the
you.
weekend and keep safe.
Bye.
Thank you.